Well, hello, my little chaos nibblings. It is I, your host, Rehash, and welcome back to the Gentleman's Chats. And joining me is Gent and... Gent, where are you? Get rid of the pumpkins. They're bigger than my avatar. Not a chance. These pumpkins are a symbol of my love for the solo farming in the tower franchise, and I refuse to allow anything to happen to them. What are you even going to do with all these pumpkins? I'll decide that when I grow more! In the meantime, this is solo farming in the tower. The chapters begin where Park Sejun and his rabbit and bear friends are all busy rebuilding the lands and planting new crops, specifically the peanut seeds that he acquired. And whoa, back up. When did he get peanut seeds? You know what? You're right. I don't ever remember him having peanuts. Where did the peanuts come from? I'm trying to check the list. There is no peanuts on here. I don't even think he ever had a nut. Well, to fill in this plot hole, they decided to have a magical flashback where the seed store opened up again without us, and he got the seeds for peanuts. I would be a little bit more upset, but it does help bring into light that they need to repair the ground, and there's nothing that helps the ground better than peanuts. So I'll let this slide because this is the first incident of this type of storytelling, but don't let it happen again! Well, after the peanut incident, we cut to Sejun now harvesting seeds of corn so that he can replant them for a later date. But he's having a hard time getting the seeds because baby bunnies keep being distracting. So he gives them all little jobs by making little packs for them to deliver food to all the adults. Which is just adorable. Playful, adorable, wholesome. Now, as much as I love the wholesomeness and adorableness of baby rabbits and baby costumes and delivering baby items, quite frankly speaking, there's way too much going on everywhere else for me to pay full attention to it, so let's get back to that. Well, far off in the nether regions, we cut back to Ox number 3, who's on a search and retrieval mission given to him by the demon Ox King. Apparently, after he had selected the root that was still on his horn, the little Ox King devoured it immediately, and was so enamored by the taste, as well as the power it gave him, that he demanded more. But the Ox number 3 barely remembered where he even got the root because he didn't even intend to grab it. It was just by happenstance that he got it. So the Ox King demands that Ox number 3 go back to where he was when he first woke up from the blue moon to see if there's any more green. Because, again, they're in a dire situation. Well, unfortunately, Sejun's farm isn't exactly around the corner, and his memories of getting there are fuzzy at best. But he picks up a scent, and he immediately charges to see all the corn leaves that Sejun and the rabbits placed over the peanuts, to keep the water from evaporating. But the ox doesn't know that, and thinks that somebody just left all these delicious leaves just scattered about, so he just picks them up and walks off. But somewhere else in the forest, our mama bear senses that there's something in her territory. Something that should not be there. Something that's going to die if it returns. Especially considering it was around Sejun's farm. Well, of all the things that this show has to offer, I didn't have Grizzly Bear vs. Minotaur on my bingo card. We later cut to Arlene just enjoying her best life in a hot tub, and thinking about all the ways she's going to get Sejun to give her more cherry tomatoes, when an alarm appears. She answers it and realizes it's from the Crimson Bear. So she immediately goes to Park Sejun and tells him what's up. The bear also arrives, and they exit the cave to see all of the grass that was taken by the Minotaur gone. On the surface, it's not the biggest or heaviest of blows to their cause of growing a farm, but this is a massive inconvenience because they lost an important tool. Inconveniences aside, this is a straight-up invasion. They're no longer safe. Sejun surmises that whatever did this was also probably the thing that caused the massive roar during the Blue Moon event. which means someone has found their home. The Crimson Bear can only do so much, but she does decide to increase her surveillance and expand her range of territory to try and keep Sejun's farm safe for not only Sejun, but the food and her cub. Not necessarily in that order.
Oh yeah! Who's ready to see Giant Crimson Bear versus Minotaur King?
Oh, this is gonna be incredible! But if you dare hurt the baby bunnies,
I will smash you myself!
Well, speaking of baby smashing, we cut back to Sejun with the queen bee egg. I thought Theo had it. Well, I guess he gave it back. And apparently it's close to hatching. So Sejun decides to take a break from farming in order to make sure that he's there to be the first thing it sees so that it recognizes him as master. But of course we all know full well that Park Sejun is totally taking advantage of the fact that he's in a sit-down lap of luxury and he falls asleep. He falls asleep. And wouldn't you know it, of course, the egg hatches while he's asleep, revealing a... oh my goodness.
Too much cuteness! Bleh.
Oh, Gent, do you even realize just how much of a pain in my butt it is to have to bring you back every single time you overdose on cuteness? So at long last, we finally get the new queen bee baby, and she is the most adorable little babu ever. She tries to fly around, but is unable to stay airborne for very long. But thankfully, the first thing she sees is our boy Sejun, and immediately becomes enamored, and now she is his servant for life. Not that she minds. But then the older queen bee comes around, and welcomes her to life, and even teaches her how to fly better. They share this beautiful moment with each other, until eventually our girl decides to give Sejun a goodbye kiss, before flying off on her own little adventure before resuming what will be her forever task, serving our boy. And then he wakes up and wonders what the heck happened. But eventually we cut back to the Minotaurs. And then we cut back to the Minotaurs. Ox number 3 had delivered the corn leaves to his boss. Since they're not the root, he's a little skeptical, but at the same time, he's got one delicious thing out of it, why not another? So he tries it and immediately is hooked on the substance as if it was cocaine. Believing it's the salvation of the Minotaur race, he demands that Ox number 3 go over and get even more. Even when the ox protests, he threatens him, go get more, that shit is too good. Also, the fact that they're in the middle of a famine, but damn, that shit is good. You know, that comment you made about the cocaine really is interesting. What would happen if Park Sejun used his farmer growing powers on drugs? What if he grew some cocaine, or at least some weed? I have to test this theory. Well, we do yet another cut, back to Theo, who has just arrived with all the adventurers on the 38th floor. They're a little angry about him for being late, but they quickly forgive him after he offers them new higher-grade cherry tomatoes and begins the auction. It's not long before he's completely sold out, and he made a killing. And you know what? He needs to be proud. That cat has done more for Sejun than anyone else, including the rabbits, including the bears, including the bees. Yeah, Sejun may be the one who's growing the cherry tomatoes, but this cat is the face. He is selling the tomatoes, and he is doing everything in his power to increase his popularity. Yes, I don't even think that cherry tomatoes would have sold half as well if it wasn't for Theo. And without discounting any of Theo's actual hard work, I think Theo could easily just be the mascot. Having an ideal good visual face for your product is just as important as the product itself. That's why I have so many. We are the cartoon gentlemen. I think you emphasized the wrong word there. Shut up! Well, now that all the cherry tomatoes have been sold, it's time for Theo's mandatory take the pictures with the pretty girls. But unfortunately for Theo, he quickly learns that being late and not following a schedule means that some people may have other shit to do, and there's only one person here to actually take the pictures, which makes him sad because he can't bum stuff off for just basic kitty cuteness. But as he's taking the pictures, a few more pretty girls show up and want to take his picture as well with the famous Theo. When he asks why he's famous, they introduce him to Instagram. No, it is not Instagram, it's Hansagram. Same thing, just, with a hunt. Any rate, he goes to Instagram, fuck you, and Theo finally discovers what the girl has been doing with all of the pictures she's been taking, uploading them online for the whole world to see. Now, on one hand, I can understand he might have been a little bit upset and the girl definitely would have felt sorry for it, but this is just new promotional material, and he just decides to glamour himself up, because now that he knows that he's going to be an idol worldwide, he wants the best quality pictures possible, and she is happy to deliver. Oh, these two are going to be such a chaotic team. If they were both humans or both cats, I totally ship them. But instead, that's his new owner once he retires from Senjin. Well, if I remember correctly, Theo did technically have a kitty cat girlfriend. I wonder what happened to her. Well, whatever happened to her, I bet she's kicking herself in the tits for allowing Theo to escape her grasp. Yeah, but he wouldn't have escaped her grasp if she didn't turn him down to begin with, and that would lead Theo to go and be a wandering merchant to begin with. Theo is just the cat with the golden paws. He knows when he gets a lucky break. So Theo decides it's time to go back to floor 99 in order to get more cherry tomatoes and brag about how much money he's made. But as he's reminiscing about all the good things that's coming his way, he gets breathed on, and oh, the wolves. The wolves are back in town. Theo immediately gets terrified. Even when he's completely scared out of his mind, he acts in the cutest way possible. I really love this art style. But it doesn't really matter, because the wolves are here, and they demand to know where the Straw Hat is. They also make it clear that they're not playing around, and they're going straight up gangster on him. Remember, my kids, if you're being pulled up by 3 or 4 very scary individuals who are clearly very threatening, remember this: nothing quite says, back off, I'm not interested in your bullshit, quite like a desert eagle. Riash, you can't tell kids that. Am I wrong, though? Yeah, but still, that's giving a very, very dangerous message that is going to get us flamed to the comments. Every time we upload a video, we have to click on, is it for kids? No, it's not. So this is not meant for kids. If this was meant for kids, then we wouldn't be able to see the comments to begin with. Well, before the wolves could do anything, somebody throws a pine cone, and that pine cone begins to irradiate a stench. Oh shit, it's a bomb! A stink bomb? Which adversely affects the wolves, but has no effect on Theo for whatever reason. But then we see the mystery hero, and it's the Fox Girl, who comes and saves Theo at the last second, taking him away. The wolves would give chase, but they're doing a little bit of nasal problems, so I guess they're out of it? Okay, I know this is kind of a bad take, but even if their noses are under the influence of a smell drug, they're still wolves. They definitely have the speed advantage, the strength advantage, and the pack tactics here to be able to outrun a cat and a fox. Okay, I'm just going to chalk this one up to size advantage. With the wolf's smell no longer being a factor, they can just simply hide out in a small cave, a small hole, or even just behind a tree. Their small size would give them the advantage in that regard, and thus they could escape the wolves. So we cut to the 2 lovebirds as they manage to escape the wolves. Theo is incredibly grateful for all of Xayanar's, what's her name? The Fox Girl. Until we figure out her name, we'll call her the Fox Girl. He's very grateful and wants to repay the debt by getting her something to eat or something. But she takes the opportunity in order to get into his good graces to watch the master at work some more, which he agrees. but she accidentally slips up, revealing information that she really should not have, and Theo starts to suspect. But thankfully, Theo is an idiot and immediately assumes something else, allowing her to keep her cover. But when she hears that he's about to upgrade his merchant status, she immediately starts questioning how, why, and what. So Theo finally reveals to her how he's been able to level up in the merchant field so fast. Cherry tomatoes. She was shocked by the answer. No criminal activity, no sneaking in items, just cherry tomatoes? That things you kind of ignore on salads? Or eat first, depending on who the person is? Those things? Yep. That's all it is. Theo lucked out, found cherry tomatoes, and they became the most popular item in the tower. Of course she doesn't believe him, and starts trailing him in order to see just how well he actually is.
Or if he's even telling the truth, because this really does feel unbelievable.
Why, hello, Rehash. I just happened to notice that your subscriber count is up and your views are going through the roof. Please explain to me how you do it.
Well, it all started with just simply pumpkins. Pumpkins, pumpkins, pumpkins. That's the secret.
Really? That's it? That's all you need? Pumpkins.
The pumpkins are filled with fentanyl.
There it is.
So we cut back to America for some reason. We get an update on the evil CEO and his evil plans. With the D-grade cherry tomato, he realizes he's already starting to fall behind even further. But it doesn't matter, as his business partner comes in with a successfully germinated cherry tomato plant. Now, these ones aren't magical items, like the cherry tomato he holds, but the fact that he was able to cultivate them is a massive step forward in the right direction.
Yeah, they figured that if they can grow the cherry tomatoes inside the tower, using the cherry tomatoes from inside of the tower, they can not only grow them, but grow the magical item, and have the altered effects. So they're starting the next phase of their plan. Buying out other adventurers so they can abduct the land, and then start mass production of the hottest new pharmaceutical item and make big money out of it. Which means Park Sejun is going to be in a lot of heated trouble, and I still don't see how. Yeah, I really want to believe that this guy is going to be some sort of big bad evil guy that's going to take on Park Sejun, but at the same time, I don't really see how it's even possible for him at this point. I mean, Sejun has such a massive advantage over him, plus he's an actual tower farmer. Are there any other tower farmers? We don't know. But it doesn't matter. These cherry tomatoes were cultivated using the powers of a tower farmer. And to our knowledge, Sejun is the only tower farmer with the status of tower farmer. And plus, he has an army of agricultural rabbits, an army of super friendly bees, a bear, and I'm assuming he's going to get a minotaur soon. While in the meantime, all this guy's been able to do is grow regular cherry tomatoes. They're not even the magical items. He hasn't even tried to do it in the tower.
As much as I would love a big pharma supervillain in the long run, I don't see how it's even possible for them to even attempt to catch up. Sejun holds all the cards.
Now, Sejun did grow the original cherry tomatoes without the status of tower farmer. But with the status of tower farmer, he was able to level up his skills and grow even better versions. They don't even have tower farmers on their side, or they don't have the rabbits of the tower to help him grow it on his side. They don't know the concept of the blue moon energy, which may be aiding in the growth acceleration of the cherry tomatoes and the other products. Which, now that we bring that up, we have the other products. Yeah, all they got is cherry tomatoes. We got a whole freaking farm. We got corn, we got carrots, we got potatoes, we got the sweet potatoes, we got the peanuts now. Heck, we even got that weird new sweet potato, the sun pumpkin or whatever, that is written in the text that Sejun is the only one allowed to even grow and distribute. So, once again, they got no firepower. This is trying to fight a war when your enemy has nothing but nukes. All you're going to do is die.
Now, normally I don't do what I'm about to do because I don't like being wrong. But I can't help but feel like I need to comment or speculate something that could possibly happen in the future. Especially when it comes to the lackluster antagonist thus far. The only real link that anyone has to Sejun and the cherry tomatoes is Theo. Theo is the only link that anyone has. So, there is a possibility that there might be a undercover operation where Theo is captured by the CEO and forced to talk. Possible, but I don't think that's likely to happen. Because if the big-time CEO tries to capture Theo and try to get the cherry tomatoes by force, well, you can straight up forget about the monsters and the bosses. The CEO is going to have people attacking him in the street. Okay, fair, but there's got to be something. He's just too much of a wild card at this point. But I suppose that'll just have to be a revelation for another day. So, until next time, I'm Rehash, the stirrer of chaos, and this has been a gentleman's chat. We will see you all next time.